Okay, back to our regularly scheduled Mishlei. I believe we are up to 22, and then this is another couplet of pesukim, to 26 and 27. Al tihi betoke e kaf ba'orvim mashaos im ein lecha l'shalim lama yikach mishkavacha mitachtecha. All right, the first one is a little difficult to translate. It is the same shorish, but a different meaning. Oh, hello. If either of you would like to help yourself to some insomnia cake, you can have this as well. This is a pumpkin spice keto cake. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So al tihi, do not be. And I'm trying to remember if we had a pasuk about tokea kaf, or if that was in my Monday night shiur. Not recently.
Oh.
Tokea kaf. Might have been last year. So it means people who shake hands. Okay. Yeah. Do not be.
I remember the title was "Who Should Hate Handshakes."
Yeah, right. It was about the hating handshakes.
That was Monday night shiur.
It was Monday night shiur. Okay. All right. Yeah. So how would you say bitoke kaf? Do not be.
With?
Yeah. Okay. Let's say with. Okay. With handshakers. Okay. Ba'orvim mashal. So this is orev like in monetary terms.
Cosigner?
Cosigner, okay. Yeah, all the handshakers and the cosigners, that's a whole genre of Mishlei pesukim, right? Like there's like I don't know, like at least 6 or 7 of them. With cosigners, signers of Mashaos, so Mitzuas says Inyan halva'a means a loan. Okay, cosigners of loans. All right. And then this is clearly related. Im ein lecha l'shalim, lama yikach. No, sorry, lama yikach mishkavacha mitachtecha.
If you don't have what to pay with.
If you don't have what to pay with.
Why should your bed be taken from under?
Why should your bed be taken from under you? Good. Yeah. And do you know what that's reference to? You probably do.
Collecting collateral. Yeah.
Yeah, but the yeah, there's a pesukim that reference that.
Yeah.
Shackle.
Yeah, shackle. Yeah. I don't know the pesukim offhand, but yeah, isn't that the
you should give him back his fill.
Yes, yeah, by the poor person, right? Yeah, you should give him. So I think we're going to see this in altar maybe, but the people would sleep on their clothing, right? Like these are folded up clothing as pillows, and so I guess you would give, I don't know, your spare clothing or something like that if you as collateral. And so like the pesukim say that you should give the collateral back to the guy at night. But I think that's the reference here. Okay, let's just go with our normal routine here. So we did the Mitzuas Tzion. Sadigon says, so he says, Ki'im yidlo, so this is on Chaf Zayin. Okay, Ki'im lo yiheh lecha l'shalim, lo yikach mishkavacha mitachtecha. So he just slightly tweaks it, because if you have nothing to pay, he will not take your bed from under you. Okay, kasher lo te'orav l'shum adam, when you do not cosign for any person. Okay, so that's what he adds there. When you do not cosign for any person. Okay, he just kind of like tacks that onto the end. All right, Targum Ksuvim. Let's see if we get anything out of this. Lo teve mashlim aidach ba'arvusa al chabrach im leis lach defarea nesavian teshaviasach mitachtach. Okay, I am not motivated to translate that, so we're going to delete it. Okay, that's the shorter insomnia-induced impatience. I'll chalk it up to that. Okay, art scroll. Do not be among those who shake hands among the guarantors for loans. If you have no money to pay, why should you take your bedding from beneath you? Were we sensitive to that? Oh, we said why should your bedding be taken? So it's not really should be taken. Lama yikach. Why should he take? Right? Why should he take? Why should he take your bedding? I like bedding from under you. Okay. If you have no money to pay, why should you take a bedding from beneath you? Because I don't know why they say why should you take? Living Nach says, do not associate with those who give a handshake. That's a much broader interpretation, right? I mean, that's kind of like what you said, do not be with handshakers. So our scroll translated it as do not be among those who shake hands, right? So I think with is good because it preserves the ambiguity, right? But he says do not be among those who shake hands, among the guarantors do not associate with those who give a handshake, with those who pledge security for loans. If you do not have enough to pay, why cause your bed to be taken from under you? Okay. And then Alter says, do not be of those who give their hand in pledge, who back up extortionate loans. I don't know where he gets extortionate loans from. That's how he's translating Masha'os. If you have nothing with which to pay, why should your bedding be taken from you? And then he adds his commentary here. As the law, those must be the pesukim, 22, 25 through 26. Let's just check that out and see what it says. Exodus 20, wait. Is that just a coincidence or did I accidentally? No. It's the same parak, okay, but it's not the same pesukim. Exodus 22, I thought it was the same pesukim. 25 through 26. Yeah. Im chabol salmas re'echa ad bo hashemesh tishivenu lo ki hiksuso levada hisim laso la'oro b'mei yishkav v'haya ki yitzak elai v'shamati ki chanunani. Let's just look at the archaic translation here. If you take your neighbor's garment as collateral, you shall restore it to him before the sun goes down, for that is his only covering. It is his garment for his skin. What would he sleep in? If it will happen when he cries to me, that I will hear, for I am gracious. Okay, so Alter references that. He says, as the law in Exodus 22, 25 through 26 makes clear, the poor man's bedding was the cloak in which he wrapped himself for sleep. Hence, one is forbidden to take it away from him at night in pawn for a debt. As a letter on behalf, now here he sprinkles in a little bit of his archaeology. A letter on behalf of a laborer found at Yavne Yam and dating from the 7th century BCE complains about the deprivation of the cloak for debt. Okay. The Hebrew seems to say, why should he take your bedding? But the third person masculine singular is often used as the equivalent of a passive and thus is translated here as a passive. So that's where the art school got it from, right? Why should your bedding be taken from under you? Okay, so now I'm fine with that. Why should he take your bedding? So literally, sorry, what was I saying? From under you, I'll just say literal. This is the literal one. Hold on. I want to do this. This is lit. This is lit. Why should your bedding be taken from under you? Yeah. Okay. So those are our translations. Let me just get to the question part. Do our new radical move of moving this down.
I have a methodology question.
Yeah.
Okay. So say something here where these pesukim seem to be in some way evoking pesukim from the Chumash.
Yeah.
Do you intake, this way you learn Mishleic, do you intake whatever was said in the Chumash into your understanding? Say exactly over here, like the latter pasuk, the latter part of the pasukim, tzok yitzak elai. Yeah. Which Shlomo does not bring it all here. Yeah. So do you take that all into your reading?
Good question. So I definitely assume that Shlomo assumes that we're familiar with the pesukim. And that we are what do you call? Did I drop something? No, I'm just listening all over the place today. Okay. I thought I had a piece of Kleenex in my hand, and I thought I dropped it, but no, I'm good. Oh, maybe that's where it is. Okay, yeah. I'll get that now, so I don't incur anyone's wrath. Anyway, there is a Rabbeinu Yonah, I think, on one of the pesukim about midos and mishkalos. I forgot where. I think it's in chapter 11, where he gives a pshat, and then he says, "This is a good explanation of the pasuk, but we could get that from the pesukim in the Torah, and Shlomo's purpose is not to repeat Torah." And then he goes and gets another kiddush from the pasuk. So that shows that he really holds. Not only does Shlomo think that you're familiar with it, but he holds that you already know the content. So Mishlei is expanding upon that. But your question is, does it take into account the full context of the pasuk? So, for example, something like the calling out to the poor, that is an open question to me. Okay. I think it's reasonable to go either way. Yeah, like you could say, of course he's referencing it because that's where it appears in Chumash, or you could say, of course he's not referencing it because he doesn't say it here. Yeah. Okay, what are our questions? Yeah.
I think it was in this year.
Oh, was it in this year?
Yeah,
okay.
Towards the end of first year.
Okay. I trust your memory. Yeah, okay.
I was wondering, you did a whole investigation into.
And midos and mishkalos. Yeah, you're right. We did do that.
It might have been, with the possibly might have been in chapter 11. But
yeah. I mean, I think we did do it. What did we find out? But yeah. A little Eon chronicler here. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what are the questions? Sean, you're also welcome to have some insomnia cake if you'd like. Yeah. Yeah. And Shahako.
We'll continue to call for it.
Good.
Yeah.
It is.
Good. This is iteration 2. Yeah.
It's nice, like sour note, but, you know,
Ah.
like,
Cream cheese.
Yeah. The cream cheese frosting is the
yeah.
Yeah.
It has like a sour element. It's not like overpowering.
yeah. It's good balance. All right.
Okay, so first question.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be with handshakers or cosigners?
Okay. So let's say what is the bet in the first pasuk?
Yeah.
Okay. Like how do we translate it, and what would it mean? To be bitoke kaf, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also a bit orphan morphos.
Yeah, and orvim masaos. Does anyone else like intuitively translate that as ravens because
Yes,
of no?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is it's kind of like a classic question, but I think in this pasuk it applies like
Yeah.
more than other pesukim per se, like more essentials.
Yeah.
I guess. But like, what's the havamina of the second pasuk? Like, if the guy doesn't have money to pay back with them, why would he ever pay back down?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
like why is supposed to tell you, hey, don't co-sign a loan if you can't pay for it?
Okay, so let's ask about both havaminas here, right? Because apparently the first one sounds like there was a real havamina.
Yeah,
The second one seems
yeah,
obvious, right?
yeah.
So what are let's say what is / are the havamina, right? Because havaminas. Okay, because in other words, the second one could be addressing the havamina of the first one, and that's the only real havamina. Or you could say that there's a havamina for the first one and for the second one. You know, like how many are there, and what are they? Yeah, yeah. As a
So just first off, elaborating on the first question.
yeah,
Like the pasuk definitely could have said, don't co-sign for don't do handshakes or don't co-sign for a loan.
okay, good. Yeah,
Like we've learned other things that say that.
yeah.
Let's
Some
use your betting from under you.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
For example,
Yeah.
e.g., do not cosign, don't shake hands or cosign for loans lest you lose your betting from under you. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to remind us, because we might have forgotten, that here, if you believe alter, right, then stylistic questions have a different we have a different layer of doubt into stylistic questions, because Alter's theory is that these 33 pesukim, I forgot how many, come from the stele of Amenemnepi, the Egyptian tablet of Proverbs, and then this is borrowing the language from that, in which case we don't necessarily have the right to assume that stylistic nuances are intrinsic to the idea, but might be emulating the proverbs that were familiar to them. That doesn't mean we discount the question, it's just on the back burner. Yeah.
Also with question 1, what circumstances are you not supposed to be with them?
Yeah.
This specifically at times of handshaking, co-signing, or just in general?
Okay, so let's actually expand that into a its own question, okay, which I think has to be the first question here. What is the scenario here, and what are the parameters of this directive? Okay, so what case are we talking about, right? Like is it, for example, like Alter said, like extortionate loans? Is it any loans? If you're talking about being with handshakers, is it hanging out with them? Is it like agreeing to their principles? Are we talking about a one-time thing? Like with the hating handshakes, that seems to be saying never, ever do this, but don't be with handshakers. You might say, well, maybe that just means like making it your custom or something, So what are the parameters here? It's very, very vague how far you take this.
Yeah, like does this include, I'd say, like witnessing it, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you only not do it if you don't have what to pay back with?
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So let's expand that into a bigger question also.
This is the same.
Even bigger.
What are the audiences?
What is the relationship between 27 and 26? Okay. Is 27 providing the reason, which would mean that 26 only applies if you can't pay it back? Okay. Is 27 like addressing the Hava Amina, right? Like we said before, like that somehow the guy thinks he could pay it back, and this is trying to get him to realize like maybe you won't be able to pay, something else. I'm not going to list a full exhaustive list here. Yeah. Oh, before I forget, hold on a second, because I know I'm going to forget this. Pause. We took the row based on that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So back to, yeah.
What is it? What is a handshaker?
Yeah. Okay.
You're taking it for granted until now.
Yeah. What is a handshaker in this context? And what is a cosigner? I know those are two separate questions, but we want to save lines. We don't have to waste paper. Yeah. All right.
I think okay. So 26 says don't be with handshakers and cosigners, and 27 says like the 27 seems to be the outcome of not being able to pay a collateral or to pay the cosigning thing that you're cosigning, right?
Right. Meaning, just to make sure that we're on the same page here, is so Isaac wants to borrow money, and so I cosign for him, right? And so I'm the cosigner, and 27 is saying if I don't have what to pay to cover his defaulting on his loan, then why should you take, or why should
your betting be lost?
Why should my betting be lost? Yeah, you're right. Right.
I just want to take back that question. I was going to say it doesn't seem to make sense because those are the people that you're with in 26. Not you are not the cosigner in 26.
Well, that's the that will depend on whether we translate as with or among, right? Like, don't be one of them, right?
Yeah, also the second with.
The second with also, yeah. And by the way, I think pshat is don't be among them in the sense of doing it. Yeah. Is there a stronger word we use than among? Because among kind of sounds like with.
Amongst.
Does that change things?
It adds 2 letters.
Is that a different meaning than among, or is that just an archaic way of saying among?
I don't know.
I think it has a slightly more of a connotation of being part of it.
Okay, we'll do it amongst. Yeah.
Can you also ask? Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can you also ask? What's the? What's the? I'm assuming there's some sort of psychology behind the betting being removed from under the person.
Yeah.
So what is that, and what is it accomplishing?
Okay, yeah. So granted that Shemos Chaf Beis Chaf Hey through Chaf Vav speaks about the deprivation of betting. Okay, why express the consequence that way here? Okay, in other words, and the reason I'm asking it like that is you could say here he's just making an allusion to whatever it meant there, but he didn't have to. He could have said his own consequence, right? And so either, and then that's just pushing the question off, like, well, why did that say it? So why is it expressing it in terms of why not say another consequence, or just leave it at you'll be poor, right, or something like that? Yeah, David.
Yeah. Why would a person want to hang out among these people?
Yeah.
Or whatever, flatter these people, whatever that is. And also, if you're going to learn 20 club sign as separate or together,
yeah.
Regardless, why would he be doing this? Especially if you're going to learn it as separate. If you say does not have enough money, why would he?
Okay, good.
Go and co-sign?
So yeah, I'm gonna put that just as part of the Havminas. Why would someone be prone to giving into this Havmina or these Havminas? Yeah, Ezra.
I'm not sure if it's a good question. Yeah.
Only one way to find out. Yeah.
I don't know if it's a common in Mishleic to like ask a question as like some sort of a rhetorical question to dissuade something.
Yeah. Okay, so that we can tack onto your other question, right? Because you said we could have expressed it as a statement, right? So you know what? Let's actually make that into a whole separate question. Right. Why use a rhetorical question? And again, that's subject to the same limitation about style as before. That could be a legitimate question. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Can we think of any pesukim that we've done that have expressed rhetorical questions? Lama temus below itacha. Where's that from? That's in the Koheles. So Shlomo Melech definitely uses in Koheles.
Lama Tisomim.
Lama Tishomim in Koheles, yeah. So Shlomo Melech uses rhetorical questions. I don't know about Mishlei. It's a good question though. Yeah, I feel like he does. I can't think of it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do we have all the main questions? Yeah.
This is partially a methodology question.
Yeah.
How much do we take halachic structure into account?
Yeah. So the answer is, if this were a straight up halacha, like the weights and measures one, then I think we have no choice but to take it into account. Here, there's no isser to cosign, right?
Yeah.
Now, so like, I don't think we're going to get drawn into a particular halachic structure from Chav Vav. Chav Zayin is a consequence that does have halachic involvement in it, but because the causes are not halachic, I'm not sure. I'm not sure in this case. Yeah.
I think when someone cosigns, then the lender can just collect directly from the cosigner, and then the cosigner has to go after the
okay, so we can take that into account then.
Yeah, so let's say I borrowed and you cosigned. Chaim can just collect directly from you, and to the point where you don't even have betting anymore, and now you have to come after me to get to get money next. So you could.
I think that's a fair assumption. Yeah, David.
When we talk about these cosigners and handshakers, is this like it seems like that is in some ways a good midah that you're like
right
with people.
Yeah.
Is this the only expression of this good midah in these people, or are there other good things and this is just a side thing that these people do as well?
Are there say that last part again?
Okay.
Yeah.
Are these people like, this is one good thing they do and that's all, so we just characterize these people as handshakers or cosigners?
Yeah.
Or these are maybe people that are, I don't know, bali chesed or other things like that, and this is something that they do as well?
Okay, so I'm gonna tack that onto the second question and say, why what is implied by the fact that we define the entire person by this single Misa, right? Like, does this imply that they, I don't know, that this is a fundamental part of their personality, or that they habitually do this, or that I guess, are they, do they have other qualities, right? Now again, this is we're asking this with an understanding that Mishlei will work in archetypes. So like, presumably you can be you could be a Baal Chesed Tokei Akaf. You could be a Russia Tokei Akaf. You could have this action you could have this archetype layered onto you for a lot of things, So I don't know how far we can take that question, but I think that's why I'm limiting the question to like, what's the relationship between the action and the person that we can't talk about. Yeah.
When we're ready to start giving answers, I think I have this.
Okay. I think we're ready, right?
Yeah.
Unless Tom, did you have?
No, I have an approach.
Okay. All right. Isaac, go ahead.
So I think this is people who habitually do handshakes and cosign. And I'm saying, don't be someone who habitually does this, because like in any particular instance, it might not be a problem, but you might be like, you might do something where let's say like you cosign for for someone a lot or something, and then or you cosign for something big, and then I'm using cosigning as an example because I don't know what handshaking is.
Yeah.
And then even if you're doing it judiciously, you might overstep and co-sign for something where then you are suddenly on the hook for a lot more than you can afford.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's classifying, it's saying don't be with people who are like amongst the number of people who are like defined by this in that this is something that is like a thing that they do.
Okay, so let me split this into two things. The part that I understand and agree with is it's a very risky endeavor, right, to cosign, and therefore avoiding it at all across the board will prevent you from particular instances where you could get like caught and it could be a real cost to you, right? That part is what you're saying. That's part of what you're saying, and I understand that. But then
I'm not specific, but I'm minus the point about across the board.
Okay, so that's the part that I don't understand is why wouldn't we tell the person to avoid it across the board?
Well, I think I'm not saying that it's not good to avoid it across the board.
Not saying it's not good to, yeah, but that's not what you're saying. You're saying
I'm saying this is making a different point.
Yeah. So and just to elaborate on my question, so you can answer it better, is like if Tokei Kaf are people who do this habitually or do this a lot, right? Then I wouldn't tell the person don't do it a lot. I would say like don't do it at all, because one time is all it takes to get you. Yeah.
Well, you could analyze the risks. Let's say you want to borrow $100.
Yeah.
From a client, or and so I decide I'm going to co-sign for that.
Yeah.
Because I can think about it and be like, okay, if something happens, I end up being on the hook for this. I'm okay.
Yeah.
You're losing $100. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so you could analyze the risks in a particular instance and say, okay, even in the worst case scenario, I'm okay with this, given the benefits will be for a friend, I think a person could say in an isolated instance that they're okay with the risks, but if you do it, if you're not doing it in just isolated, very isolated instances, then you will end up being on the hook, and then if you don't have enough to pay, then you'll lose your brand, you'll lose everything.
So I'm confused. So I understand if you are a handshaker or a cosigner, then this is going to happen to you. But practically speaking, is he telling you to not do it even once? Or is it is that how you would implement this advice? Or is there a different way? At the end of the day, are there justifications within the parameters of these pesukim for doing it even once? Or is that ill-advised because then you could easily become a handshaker? That's the part I'm losing you on.
I'm saying within these pesukim,
yeah,
it's saying it's not specifically telling you not to do it once.
Okay, but practically, is it telling you that? And if it's not telling you that, then what is it practically telling you not to do? Because you can't give some practical advice. Don't be a habitual handshaker. You have to tell them how to not be a habitual handshaker. So there are two ways to do that. One is be judicious. The other is to avoid it at all costs. And being judicious, you're saying, is a trap, right? Because you're judicious, or are you saying that being judicious is okay?
I'm saying being judicious is okay.
Okay, fine. All right. So then according to this, then as long as you're judicious, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the real question of the Havamina becomes now the real question is with this Havamina, which is if I'm being judicious, then why do I have to worry about being in a situation where I can't pay? And if you say because maybe you'll get into a situation where you think that you're not going to have to pay, but you will. So then the advice should be to not do it at all. That's why I'm losing you here. Yeah, David. This is not a separate approach, right?
It is a separate.
So then, any questions on this approach? Because you had a separate approach first.
I kind of wanted to use the the second pasuk as a way of supporting that.
Yeah.
You can learn that in like many different ways. You can say this applies only if you don't have the money, but you could also say that you may not have the money, so don't do it.
Right. And so therefore, practically speaking,
It could be even once.
It could be once, yeah. All right. So, and I'm totally, just to be clear, I'm totally fine with saying don't do it even once.
Yeah.
And I know, I don't know if this is the reason why you were avoiding that, is because the hating handshake pasuk is saying to not do it even once, and so you're looking for a chiddush here. But I'd be fine if we just said that for this. Yeah.
I have maybe an answer.
Okay.
So I think I will say it's saying to not do it even once, because you might think you might be like, oh, I'll be judicious about each one.
Yeah.
But then, like, and like, maybe any individual one of those wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But because this is something that you are doing, you might have like you might suddenly have like 5 people like that you like cosign or like defaulting, and then suddenly you're on the hook for a bunch of them, even though any one of them would be fine.
Right.
And so saying,
So now my question, and again, this is only a question. Okay, now this is actually the question on both of you, which is, if we're taking that approach, so then why does he frame it? Like, in other words, I don't want to make it sound like I'm asking a question based on the other pasuk that says you should hate handshakes, but I really am, which is that like don't be among handshakers. I mean, you could just say that. Maybe you could say that that's what it means. Just don't be a type of person who does this.
What is the other pasuk say?
That's a good point. Let's actually look at all the other pasuk. Do you know where it is in 11?
No, I actually didn't learn it.
Oh, you didn't learn it. Okay. Let's just check 11. Kaf.
Right now.
Oh, thank you. That's talking about a different yad. Chazaka. Mishlei 11. Tokea. Yeah. No. Yeah. Ra yeroa ki arav zara v'sone tokim boteach. One who is a cosigner for a stranger will be utterly broken, but one who hates handshakes will be secure. And there we were saying that it is, I think it is specifically talking about if you cosign for a stranger, then that's an obviously dumb thing. So the chiddush is in the hating handshakes, like that seems to be going overboard, right? And the reason why I don't really know if this is the idea, but the reason why I seem to recall is that it's so easy, to borrow a phrase from Ryan Moskowitz, the emotions don't make quantitative distinctions, So it's very easy to go from saying, oh yeah, I'll cosign for $50 and to realize you're cosigning for $500 without really like differentiating between them, or to think that this I trust this person, but then you don't take into consideration the fact that like maybe their business partner will like cheat them out of money, So the best way to do this is to avoid all such commitments, But yeah.
Although the wording "do not" seems to be a little bit more advising than hate.
Correct. Yeah. Hate. Oh, so that was the other finish, is that that hating, you have to do what I call setting up an emotional alarm system, which is that like usually what happens is you see okay, this is bad advice in general, but the whole stranger danger thing, and it ends up making kids paranoid about interactions with all strangers, and that's really bad. But the thing is the implementation of it is bad, but the method is effective, right? That as soon as you basically set up an alarm system that triggers at any indication like of the precursor to the bad situation, So here, most people would have a reaction when they saw something to worry about, but that's where it gets you, is you have to like set up the alarm system when there's any like about any agreement in general, I think that was why it says hate, and that was an internal thing. Yeah, Isaac.
So I maybe say that the chiddush of this pasuk, that one is saying, if you do it, like you might be on the hook, like the consequence is you might be on the hook for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, but a person could say, oh, I'll be like, I'm really like thinking about this, and it's fine.
Yeah.
If I am on the hook. This might be going too far from itself, but I'm gonna.
Okay, and bear in mind, I want to make sure we get to Chaim and David. So let's try to
so,
wrap this up.
So it's saying that, like, if you are even if you're in this category, then and like even trying to do it judiciously, then you'll then okay.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. Yeah, Chaim.
Yeah, okay, so I want to take a vastly different approach.
Okay, that's fine. That's
I
good.
want to say that the whole thing is talking to the borrower.
To the borrower.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Oh, interesting.
and
That is
because-
vastly different.
So,
Yeah.
so I think so handshakers in my mind is like a form of malva. But if you wanted to say malva, he would say malva, like
Wait,
if
hold
you
on a second.
wanted-
Malva, make sure we got the right words. Malva is the one who is like I never is the,
Yeah,
the
lender,
lender.
right,
Okay, yeah.
So if you wanted to say like don't take loans, he would say don't take loans.
Mhm.
But specifically, it seems like handshakers are like a specific type of malva.
Mhm.
And then cosigners are cosigners. And I mean, it answers the question of 27, which is like how he loses his wedding. Like, well, because he's the guy who is gonna get his stuff taken from because he can't pay back his loan. And it also kind of answers, I think, part of the Havamina, which is why would you ever want to be part of this? Well, it's because I need money, right? And then maybe this guy is giving me a good deal or whatever it is, and like and there's one other point that is like the whole Torah, the pesukim in the Torah versus the pesukim here. So pesukim in the Torah are really talking to the malveh, and the pesukim here are talking to the loveh and saying like showing him the practical consequence from his perspective. So that's like a lot of.
But hold on, I'm confused though. If I'm the borrower,
Yeah.
right? So then my bed is not going to be taken, right? If I'm co-signing.
No.
The borrower is the person who's getting the money.
Yeah, I'm getting the money, right?
He's gonna be taking the stuff from the cosigner.
The borrower is taking the stuff from the
No.
co-signer.
I
The
think-
cosigner's gonna take the stuff from the
yeah.
borrower if the borrower can't pay back.
The borrower is taking stuff from the.
I think I have a
I'm
thought with
confused.
what you're saying.
The cosigner is gonna take from the borrower, meaning there's a lender and the cosigner are like kind of like together in that sense. And
We gotta go slow because
Okay.
my sleepy brain.
okay, so
yeah.
you have the lender,
The lender. Okay.
who's lending to the borrower,
Right.
and the cosigner is saying if the borrower can't pay back, I'll pay you the lender back.
Yeah. Correct.
So if the borrower can't pay back, the cosigner is gonna pay that back.
So the cosigner is losing.
The cosigner's gonna wait. Do cosigners get to take from the borrower also?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Right. So the cosigner's gonna pay back the money, but then he's also going to take the borrower's bet. from
Right.
him, Because that's like part of the whole deal of cosigner. It's like, yeah, I'll cover for you, but then if you can't pay me back, I'm the new lender, basically.
Yeah, I'd say further, the cosigner is going to be willing to go even to the extent of taking his bet because he is now out money that like he wasn't.
He didn't get any benefit from
He
it.
getting benefit
Right.
from it. He wasn't like expecting to be having to pay, or he maybe wasn't expecting, and like there's not just going to be like mochel the debt.
Mhm, right.
Whereas a lender might be like, oh, I don't want to actually take your betting,
Right.
so I'm gonna.
Right. Yeah. So and so that's interesting. Then okay, that is a different take. I
Why did we
definitely
think
get.
it was a cosigner?
What was that?
Why did we think it was talking about cosigner?
Well, because don't be among cosigners sounds like it, and shakers of hand, which seems to be a synonym. The way Mishlei uses it, seems to be saying don't be a cosigner.
I see. Okay.
So I think that there's a more straightforward reading, but I hear what you're saying.
I guess the way I'm reading those specific
Yeah.
parts is like, don't. I mean, it's obviously like as a borrower, don't find yourself among these type of lenders or cosigners.
See, I think the one thing I'm still not understanding is the whole reason borrowers seek out cosigners is as a guarantor. It's called a guarantor because it guarantees, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't understand like the facts of the situation. If I am borrowing and you cosign on my loan,
It's
then we're saying now you're going to come after me. That's the whole point of me having a cosigner.
No, the point of the cosigner is the lender feels secure. That he
Correct.
can get his money back.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the lender gets his money back.
But legally speaking, though,
yeah.
you're the one who owes money. I no longer owe you money after you paid off that guy. And there might be a social consequence. I, the borrower, you, the cosigner. If you,
the cosigner can collect the full amount from the lender if he ends up paying.
if he ends up paying.
Yeah. The cosigner pays the lender out of pocket.
Yeah.
He can then go after the lender and the borrower. Yeah.
The borrower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The person who borrowed the money
Yeah.
is going to end up having to pay.
Okay. Interesting.
Even if the cosigner,
Yeah.
whether or not you're either going to be paying the lender,
Yeah.
or you're
Yeah.
going to be paying the cosigner.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the like emotional havamina, the psychological havamina, is like for the borrower is like he's like, oh, it's fine, like he's taking security in the in like, oh, if I can't pay, the cosigner is going to pay.
Mhm.
But it's saying, like you're not getting out of it,
Mhm.
and like it might even I'm saying maybe also it might even be worse because the cosigner is gonna.
Okay, so that is a different set of facts. Maybe we should go over the halachos. You can show me where it is later on, but I want to call on David before we stop today. Yeah.
So just generally, don't frequently be around cosigners. For if you do, then you're going to wind up
Mhm.
you're taking out money.
Ooh, that gives me an idea. Yeah.
Okay. So I think one thing that happened. Well, a reason why someone would frequently be around these people.
Yeah.
I think that there is a sense of kind of like you could trust fall anytime on if there are a lot of people around you.
Yeah.
Then if I ever trip up, well, it's okay. If it's not only on me, then someone else can help me out
Yeah.
for the next few months. I can make my way up. And so there's
Yeah.
like a lot of like.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Okay. What I think could then happen within that is if you then become part of that and then you start habitually co-signing for people,
Yeah.
they're going to do it without thinking at all.
Mhm.
And then if that's going to happen, then why have your bed taken out from under you? Which I think of all things, like that sounds like it's really extreme. It's not like, oh, I'm going to lose a few extra bucks. That's like, I'm not going to let my bed get taken out from under me. That's
Yeah.
like too far. I'm going to think twice before that happens.
Yeah.
If you do this habitually, then you're not going to realize you're just going to get lower. Like you're just going to get more and more taken out from under you. And then even when the next thing that's left is all you got left is your bed, you don't even think twice. I'm just gonna.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to try to develop that for tomorrow, but just to stay the way I think this is the same idea. When you said hanging around cosigners, that's a completely different angle than what we were saying before about not co-signing. There are people who have a distorted idea of risk assessment, and that can rub off on you. It almost reminds me of like people who are involved in like, I don't mean this like stigmatizing anybody, but like futures trading. Like there's certain types of like economic financial structures where they're so abstract that it changes the way people relate to the actual, like to the reality of the resources that they have. And if people are too caught up in that realm, then it can mess up their view of risk assessment and it can rub off on you. And then you can make these bad decisions as well. That's an interesting thing to think about. Okay. All right. Let's let this percolate and then Netter get ideas tomorrow. Okay. All right. And so the plan is to schedule Mishlei for the regular time. And then if for some reason we need to change it for Wednesday, we'll do it. Okay. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.